Hey guys, I'm back again and I'm here to do my August wrap up. Okay, so you probably already saw my September and October wrap up. It was quite long. This one is going to be a little shorter. My August wrap up, I only read 5 books. So I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at it. Most of these books they were really good. For a summer reading month, I think it was very good considering 2 weeks of the month of August I was away. So I read I read 4 of these when I was away on holiday. So just to show you. So the first one I'm going to talk about is this one, which is Stories from the Tenants Downstairs by Sadiq Fofana. So this is Sadiq Fofana. All right. I read this one a very long time ago, and I have to say I really did like some of these short stories, but there were only a few that really stuck with me. But I like the concept of this book, which is to talk about the different tenants inside of this apartment building and the different things that they're going through. I think the one that I liked the most was the guys dancing in the metro for money. I think that story is done really, really well. And also the girl who has to go and live with her grandmother because something happens at school. Those two were the stories that stuck out for me. I highly recommend it. This would be a really quick read. It's quite short, but it is quite good. I think I gave this one I gave it a 3.5, I think, or something like that. Next book that I read was this one, which is Rose and the Burma Sky, and it's by Rosanna Amaka. With Rosanna Amaka, we read The Book of Echoes in my Read So Lit book club a couple of years ago. No, in the Read So Lit read along a few years ago. We did it for October, Black and British Month, and that's Rosanna Amaka. And this is her second book, which is called Rose and the Burma Sky. So this book is set part of the time in a northeastern village in Nigeria. And the other part of the time, it's set in Burma. And we follow the character Obi, who is a young man who is not very sure of what he wants to do. But there is a young woman that he is in love with, but he knows that it might be very impossible that they ever get together because she is a different class from him. She's a higher class from Obi. So we follow that story between the two of them and how things turn. And at the same time, we then follow the African men who are conscripted to go to Burma to fight alongside the British soldiers. But in fact, what it is, they do all of the grunt work, dirty work, get put in the front when everybody's going to die kind of work. And it's not at all a good thing because this is something that they don't know when they are being conscripted. They think that they're doing the right thing when they actually really shouldn't be signing up to go to war in Burma for the British. They get the bad end of the stick, even down to the days of when the war is over. Some of the African soldiers were some of the last soldiers to be brought home once the war was over. There's parts of this book that are going to make you mad when you read it, but it is a very interesting book. I love the way she tells the story because she does things to make things mysterious and to make you think certain things. And in fact, it might be something else. She just did a really good job on this one. And the voice of Obi is very sincere and very real. Turns out that she got the idea for this book because of a story, or should I say stories, that her grandmother had told her. So I found this one a very interesting book to read with a topic that I can't say I know a lot about because I didn't learn about it in school, but this idea of Africans being conscripted to go to Burma. This is the second time I've read this in a book. The other time was when I read, I think it was Bushia Macheta, one of the books. I don't know if it was not Second Class Citizen, it was the other one. I can't remember what the other one is called. I'll put it here if I can remember the name of it. But It was in that one, the men get conscripted to go and fight in Burma. And they come back with all kinds of illnesses and problems and things. But I highly recommend this one, mostly because it was agreeable to read. It's not too long. The writing is good. And the storyline is pretty interesting. I mean, I'm like, okay, Rosanna's doing it with this one. I think it's really good. Okay, this one. The next one is this one, which is The Middle Daughter by Chika Inigwe. Oh my God. This book right here tore me up. I know no other way to describe it. I mean, tore me up. So this is the story of three sisters. Dodi, Ugo, and Nani are the three sisters. But the book focuses on Nani in particular. And Nani is the middle daughter. And they are living a very comfortable, cushy life in Nigeria, except they have a mother who has very specific beliefs and ways in which she expects things to run within the family household. Very soon after we start reading the story, things happen which plunges us into another aspect of the story, and it's talking about marriage and all of the things that go into what is expected of a woman when she gets married. I don't want to tell you too much else than that, because then I'll have to tell you the whole damn book and that would just be ruining it for you. But I do highly recommend you read this one because the writing is stellar. It's Chika Inigwe. Come on now. And not only that, the storytelling. I mean, perfect story with the themes of sister relationships, mother-daughter relationships, husband-wife relationships, expectations, societal expectations on women as a whole, Nigeria in this case. All of these things combined in a book of only 300 and something pages. This book is going to have you on pins and needles. I do not recommend you read this book if you're someone who has gone through spousal abuse, because she writes this one so real, like, damn, it feels super real. So be careful for people who are sensitive on that topic. You might not want to pick this one up. Otherwise, go ahead and read it. You're going to find it very, very interesting. And you're going to want to read more things by Chika Inigwe. This is the second thing I've read by her. The first thing was Better Never Than Late, which I read a couple of years ago. I think it was the year of the pandemic I read it. It was a short story collection. I absolutely loved it. This, loved even more. This is like almost 5 stars. Like 4.5. This is really good. This is prize literature right here, African literature. So if you're interested in, like I said, definitely check this one out. You will not be disappointed. Okay, the next book I read that month was Night Wherever We Go. And this is a story that covers, so this is a slave narrative, which covers the idea of breeding farms. So this is where they basically make sure that all of the female slaves are impregnated to make more, people to work on the farm, but also to sell. And I think it's 6 women that we focus on, except it's really focuses on 2 women in particular, particularly one in detail. And the thing is, we quickly realize the women are like not having it. Like, nope, can't be me. I'm not getting pregnant with just anybody. And so what they do is they make a pact that all of them will not get pregnant. So you're thinking, okay, how are they going to do that? Read the book and find out. So they make a pact not to get pregnant, and they're going to do something in particular, which is going to stop them from getting pregnant. And then we see the fallout from what happens, because they're basically the master and mistress of this plantation. They're really bad at what they do, because they already had something in Louisiana, and they didn't take care of it properly. They didn't do it properly. So they had to leave because they were in debt up to their eyeballs and move to Texas, because I think this is in Texas, if I remember correctly. So they get another plantation, and here they are trying to make it work, but they're so damn cheap. They only buy female slaves. So the female slaves have to do the hard work that normally a male slave would do. So they decide, no, we're only going to buy females because they're cheaper. And then we're just going to make them do all the heavy work. So they're doing all the heavy work, all the light work. They're doing all the work, these women. And now they're going to turn around and say, well, we want you to be pregnant as well. So this story is crux on this idea of pregnancy and what that means for all women to be pregnant in the condition or situation that you're in. And then, of course, being the slave narrative is this idea of people being treated as if though they are children, or even less than that, just objects. It's very well written. The voices are very good. And like I said, if you don't like slave narratives, I get that. But this is one you might want to check out, just because it talks about slavery, or, you know, a different type of storyline around a slave narrative. I feel like really worth the read. So you already have in this one, you had one slave narrative, but in the September-October video, I talked about Things Past Telling. I talked about In the Upper Country. Those two are very interesting slave narratives as well, that are very different from your typical slave narrative. I highly recommend this one. This one is like a 4.5, 5-star book. Beautiful writing and a very interesting storyline. You don't want to miss out on this one. And last but not least, I read Decent People by Deshaun Charles Winslow. This one as well, excellent, very, very good. I think I gave it 4 stars. This is the writer of the story In West Mills. If you read In West Mills, which came out maybe 3 or 4 years ago, it had a main character in there called Not. Well, we see Not in this book as well. Decent People takes place in the same town as In West Mills, and it just covers different characters and different people. So the only person that you're going to see in here that is from In West Mills is Not. And Not was the main character in West Mills. So this book follows a motley crew of characters living in this town. So you have to realize this town, on this side, everybody's black. On this side, everybody's white. They probably all related, but the black people over here and the white people over here. And what we see is this idea of what is a decent person, you know, when they say, oh, they decent people, you know, kind of thing. Well, this story is cruxed around a murder that happens fairly early on in the story. So we have one of the main characters, his half brothers and sisters, who he doesn't particularly care for, and they don't particularly care for him either. He tries to forge a relationship with them, but they do everything for that not to happen. And then eventually what happens is they get killed. They're murdered one day, and the entire town believes that he murdered his half brother and sisters. Now, we can kind of know that this isn't true right from the start, but it doesn't stop the people in the town for thinking it, just because they heard the half brother say that, you know, he didn't like him, he didn't care about them, and he didn't care what happened to them. So because of the bad things he said out loud, everybody now thinks that he murdered his half brother and his half sisters. And so we then go on this kind of journey to figure out who actually murdered them. But the more and more as we go into this story, we realize how complex it is, and how his half sisters and brother are not what they say they are, or not what they are showing that they are. but there's a lot of complexities going on in the story. Certainly between the half-brother and his half-brother and sisters, but also complex between other members of the community. And what he does the best in this book is he shows this idea of living in a small community. Like, what's that really like? Like, what are you opening yourself up to when you speak out on something, when you say something, and how that can affect you? It has a ripple through the town, and then how people start to view you with no real cause or proof of anything. And it's just really interesting. It's a short book, but it's packed full of tension and mystery. I highly recommend it. I can't wait for Deshaun Charles Winslow to come out with another book that's set in this town, because I like that idea when an author decides to write a few books set in the same town, because it's almost like the character is a town along with some of the members of the town. But yeah, highly recommend it. Read N. West Mills, his first book, and then after that, do yourself a favor and go pick up Decent People. So that's it. Those are all of the books I read in August. This was my stack. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back with you real soon with another video. Bye.